Hi, I'm Erik Jones, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. When someone learns about sin and begins to truly recognize its gravity, how it separates us from God, causes suffering, and how its ultimate penalty is eternal death, they will naturally ask, how do I overcome sin? Christians recognize that even after sin has been forgiven through Christ's shed blood, that doesn't mean a person will never struggle with sin again. No, not at all. The reality is that even after they are baptized and have been forgiven of their past sins, Christians will continue to struggle against their sins. Or better stated, they must continue to struggle against their sins. But how? The Bible reveals many keys for overcoming sin. In this episode, we're just going to focus on one of them. This key comes directly from Jesus' words in the Sermon on the Mount. Though presented through imagery and hyperbole, this key represents one of the most powerful tools for overcoming sin. We find it in Matthew 5, verses 29 through 30. Let's read it. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell, that is, Gehenna, or the lake of fire. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you, for it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. Again, Gehenna, the second death, the lake of fire. Now, on the surface, some could misinterpret these words to mean that Jesus was advocating self-mutilation as a way to prevent sin. But of course, Jesus wasn't at all speaking of literal self-mutilation. When he spoke these words, Jesus was using hyperbolic imagery to make a simple and profound point about overcoming sin. His point was, to overcome sin, we must deal with it at its source. In other words, we must examine the sin and discover what is at its root. What is it that triggers us into temptation to commit the sin? Jesus points out that there are two major sources of sin: our vision, what we choose to look at and think about, and our physical actions and desires. For instance, what if certain visual images lead our mind towards lustful sexual thoughts, which in turn could lead to acting on those thoughts? Well, instead of just trying to resist the physical act with every fiber of our being after the temptation has been triggered, if we pluck out our eye spiritually, we'll take great effort to stay far away from those kinds of visual images from the start. That could mean avoiding watching certain kinds of movies or shows, making sure certain kinds of websites can't be loaded on our phone or computer, or not following certain kinds of accounts on Instagram or Facebook. Again, we cut off the source of temptation from our eyes. We remove whatever the initial temptation is. We don't just try to fight off the urge after we've been tempted. Another example could be working a job where your employer regularly asks you to lie on his or her behalf. And that happens to a lot of people. This could be a situation where you need to spiritually remove your hand, or find another job, get out of that employment situation where you're tempted or pressured to lie, and secure employment where telling the truth at all times isn't an issue. Or let's say we struggle with addiction, such as alcoholism or gambling. In that situation, we should cut ourselves off from locations and situations that would trigger those sinful addictions. So alcoholics should naturally stay away from bars and gatherings with alcohol, and gambling addicts should naturally stay away from casinos or other places where gambling takes place. Again, we target sin at its source. We don't wait until the temptation has been activated to then later fight it off. We could go on and on with various examples, but the point is simple and applies to nearly all sins we may struggle with. If we're struggling with sin, the most effective way to overcome it is to take dramatic and decisive action to remove the sin's source, whatever triggers us toward temptation to commit that sin. So my friends, if you're struggling with a sin right now, deeply analyze it and find where the root of that sin lies, and then cut it off.
If you've been enjoying Verse by Verse and want to help the show grow, here's what you can do to get the word out. Wherever you're listening, make sure to subscribe. If you're on a platform that accepts reviews and ratings, those can both make a big difference in helping other people find us. Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.